Calling to order the Zoning Board of Adjustment, Raritan Township, regular meeting, November 16, 2023. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act has been satisfied by the placing of a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board at the municipal building, filing same with the township clerk, and transmitting same to the Hunterdon County Democrat, the Courier News, Star Ledger, and the Trenton Times. Roll call, please.
Chairman, Mr. Roger Aaron's. He is asked to be excused. Vice Chair, Ms. Cynthia Schaefer.
Here.
Mr. Steve Farcio.
Here.
Mr. Randy Block. He is just running late. Mr. Jim Ferrero. He's asked to be excused. Vice Chair Pro Tem, Mr. Rasul Damji.
Here.
And Ms. Lindsay Cool Brengel. Here. Board professionals, we have Township Planner, Mr. Jeffrey Vaccarella.
Here.
Board Attorney, Mr. John Drill.
Here.
Board Stenographer, Ms. Jackie Clapp. All other board professionals have asked to be excused.
Other than you, you're here.
Other than me.
Can I get a motion to approve the absences of Roger Aaron's and Jim Farrar?
I'll move that. I'll second.
Vice Chair, Ms. Cynthia Schaefer.
Yes.
Mr. Steve Farcio.
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem, Ms. Rasul Damji.
Yes.
Ms. Lindsay Cool Brengel. Yes.
Okay, moving on to comments and announcements, seeing none. Distribution and correspondence, none. And we have the minute meetings from the October 19, 2023 Board of Adjustments meeting. Are there any changes or additions? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve?
I have a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Vice Chair, Ms. Cynthia Schaefer.
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem, Ms. Rasul Damji.
Yes.
Ms. Lindsay Cool Brengel. Yes.
And Randy.
And make note that Randy Block has joined us. Okay, moving on to, you want to do this resolution, no? No? Okay. Okay. So resolution, Raritan Township Board of Adjustment meeting, the Confident K9 LLC, Block 9, Lot 5.04, 344 New Jersey Highway 31. Resolution memorializing the grant of various D3 conditional use variances, various C block variances and design exceptions with preliminary and final site plan approval to allow the construction and use of a dog kennels facility. Resolution number 2023-08, version 2023-11, 16-V3.
Right, so everyone had version 2, which was dated November 14. We got some late breaking revisions today, which were basically to correct typos in what size is the building that got amended. The dimensions from the street, there was a discrepancy between the testimony and the plan. So we did all that, and I sent it out in a track changes version, and that's what's version 3. So version 3 is nothing really substantive. Typos, they could be considered substantive, but they're really typo corrections. So, and the applicant, obviously, the applicant representatives here, they agree with the form, correct?
Correct.
And you are?
Here for my partner, welcome to the county.
Right, and you actually helped with some of the typo corrections, correct?
I did.
So with
Where's
that,
he at?
I would ask that someone make a motion to adopt version 3 dated today, November 16th. The eligible people are absent. We have Schaefer, Block, Farcio, Domby, and all 5. Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
And I'll second that.
Can you get a vote, please?
Vice Chair, Ms. Cynthia Schaefer.
Yes.
Mr. Randy Block.
Yes.
And Mr. Steve Farcio.
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem, Ms. Rasul Damji.
Yes.
Ms. Lindsay Cool Brengel. Yes.
Okay, moving on to the applications for this evening. First application, Board of Adjustment case number 02-2023. Applicant Flemington Family Partnership LLC. Location block 72.23, lot 31, 328 Highway 202. Applications for a D variance with bulk variances for proposal of 2 car dealerships. John, we have a letter?
Yes, we have a letter written to the board from Kara Kaczynski, it's here dated November 15, seeking to have this carried. She sought to have it carried to December 7th, but we showed her the 5 applications scheduled for December 7th. So we're going to do some audible changes to the letter, and then we're going to ask her if she agrees. I already worked this out with her ahead of time. Just for the record, she wants the board to carry the application to January 18, 2024. I will check that with Taylor, and Taylor says that date's available. And new notice is going to be required because the 200-foot list will then be over 4 months old. And I believe the applicant's attorney wants to add some other stuff into that notice in any event. And instead of granting an extension to the end of January, to avoid the need for additional extensions, she's going to grant an extension for the board to act to March 31, 2024. Is all that correct?
That is correct.
So unless anyone has an objection, I can just make an announcement. First of all, is anyone here on Flemington Family Partnership? Notice. Okay. But for the record, the amendment on Flemington Family Partnership is going to be carried to January 18, 2024. There will be a new notice, both certified mail and published in the newspaper. And the applicant's going to extend the time within which the board has to decide the application March 31, 2024. Taylor, do you want something in writing for the file for that?
We'll send it to you. Thank you.
Okay, you can send it, just for the record, but if you can send it in, that would be great.
Is
Thank you.
anyone online for this?
There are a few members
Oh,
of the public
thank you very
online.
much. So is anyone online here on the Flemington Family Partnership application?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, it must be the others.
All right, can I get a motion?
You don't even need a motion.
We don't?
Nope.
Okay, we're good. All right, moving to the second application for this evening. BOA case number 15-2023. Applicant is Apex Treatment Center, location block 16.01, lot 69.03, 6A Minneonkin Road. Application for a minor site plan, application with C variance.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman,
Good evening.
board members. Kara Kaczynski, McNally, Yaros, Kaczynski, and Lime here this evening on behalf of the applicant, Apex Treatment Center LLC. As the chair indicated, the property at issue is 6A Minneonkin Road, block 16.01, lot 69.03. This property is located in the township's B3 Community Commercial District Zone, and it has a little bit of history. The resolutions outlining the history have been provided with the application, but for purposes of the record, I'll just go through and summarize it for you. Prior to 1978, the property was developed with a 15,876 square foot masonry office building. In 1978, the then owner obtained approval for the construction of another office building, approximately 40,080 square feet, by way of resolution 52-78. I'm sorry, 2 additional buildings.
Just a quick question. The information you're giving right now, that wasn't in this board's prior resolution. Are you reading from your rider of the application?
No, I'm reading from that 1978 resolution was not available. That was not provided to us, but it's referenced in the 2011 and 2020 resolution. So that's where I'm getting that from.
Can you just tell me where in the resolution?
Absolutely. So if we look at the resolution,
So there's 2 resolutions that I have.
there's
That's your
4.
application. 2022-03, which memorialized the grant of the bifurcated P1 use variance to allow the existing building to be used as a detoxification center. Then I have resolution 2022-05, which is the one that granted the bifurcated site plan.
Both the other 2 were also provided. Yes, they were. I'm looking at my cover letter dated July 5th, And I indicate that copies of prior resolutions, specifically the two you mentioned.
What's July 5th letter? We have your
March.
March 16, 2023 letter. Then we have the site plan application and the variance application. I see you're looking at the cover letter with two.
I'm looking at my July 5th cover letter that sent in the two packages containing 10 items for completeness.
You have a copy of the cover letter?
I do, absolutely.
And with the resolution, if you attach other resolutions with it.
I will give you copies of those resolutions as well.
Yes, you have.
Cover letter along with all 4 resolutions.
So what you're now stating for the record in these planning board resolutions.
Correct.
Okay, so there's a planning board resolution, it's 10-2011. There's a planning board resolution, 14-2020. That's where you're getting the information that you're now telling the board.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
So 1978, quickly, 2 additional buildings were approved.
No, not quickly.
Total, I said this already, so I'm just kind of recapping quickly. Totaling 40,080 square feet, and that was memorialized by way of resolution 52-78, which I indicated was not available in the open request, but is referenced in the resolution that Mr. Drill just referenced. These 2 buildings, however, were never constructed. Fast forward to 2011, the property was still part of block 1601, lot 69.01, and was granted site plan and variance relief to be developed with an additional 11,352 square foot medical office building, and that was memorialized by way of resolution 10-2011. Then in 2020, the then owner applied for subdivision approval, and that subdivision approval created the property as we know it today. Out of lot 69.01, the subdivision approval resulted in the creation of lots 69.02 and 69.03. And that was memorialized by way of resolution 14-20. The applicant in 2022 appeared before this board on a bifurcated application. The application was first for bifurcated use variance approval, and then subsequently for bifurcated site plan, minor site plan approval. Both of those were granted by way of resolution 2022-03.
That was the bifurcated D1 use variance.
Correct, and 2022-05.
Which was a bifurcated site plan, correct?
Correct. And the applicant since that time has been completing resolution compliance and is about ready to pull building permits. You'll hear some testimony from our engineer as to that issue. In connection with that review, it was discovered that there was additional equipment that needed to be placed on the property in order for the facility to function properly. And that's why we're here tonight. You're going to hear testimony as to what that additional equipment is and the amended site plan approval and C variance relief that we need for those minor additions. I have for you here tonight a representative of the applicant, our engineer, and also our architect. If the board thinks it's necessary, the architect would be able to testify with regard to cut sheets that we have available as exhibits that will show you exactly what this equipment will be that's going to be located on the property. And he will be available to testify as necessary.
Why don't we just get everyone sworn, and then if you need them to testify, they can testify. So anyone that Ms. Kaczynski just mentioned as a potential witness, let's get right near that microphone. Stand up, look at the microphone.
Now, John, our applicant's representative is on Zoom. That is Michelle right there.
Okay, so the 2 of you, hear the microphone. one person on Zoom, and Jeffrey Vaccarella at the table. Can all four of you raise your right hand? Does everyone swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes,
I do.
I do.
Okay. We're good. Now, we need the spellings of all names. So let's start in reverse order. Our representative who's on Zoom, your name, please.
Michelle Payne, Michelle
Okay.
Robert Longo, Longo.
And Michelle Payne, what's your relationship to the applicant?
I'm the executive director for the facility.
Okay. And Mr. Longo, you are the applicant's
Architect.
architectural expert, right?
Yes.
And Robert Benedetto, Benedetto, and I am the civil engineer.
Okay, you're the applicant civil engineering. Okay, Jeff, for the record, identify yourself.
Jeff Vaccarella, Township Planner,
You're the board's planning expert.
Board Planning Expert.
Okay.
Thank you. So unless the board has any preliminary questions, I'd like to call Ms. Payne.
No, go ahead.
Michelle, can you just indicate your name again for the record
Sure. Michelle Payne,
and your position with the applicant?
executive director for the facility.
And what are the responsibilities of this position?
I oversee all the day-to-day operations in the facility.
And could you just refresh the board's memory? It's been a couple years. Exactly what type of facility is this that the applicant operates?
Sure. We provide detox services for individuals with substance use disorders.
And this application, this property was previously before this board, as I outlined in my opening, correct?
Yes,
And we're here for amended site plan approval with regard to some additional equipment that's required. Is that correct?
yes,
And it's your understanding that these improvements are outlined on the engineering plans that will be discussed with the board. Is that correct?
yes.
And just to cover one of the comments in Mr. Vaccarella's November 9th letter, the only reason that we are here before this board is to address those additional pieces of equipment, correct?
Yes,
We're not looking to change the use in any way. We're not looking to add on to the structure for any other purpose other than what will be testified to tonight.
right. That's correct.
And could you just explain why this additional equipment is necessary?
Yeah, it's to ensure proper and uninterrupted operation for the facility.
Okay, and the engineer will testify a little further, but when you say uninterrupted, there's a generator that's proposed, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. It's really preferred by the state who license us that we have a backup plan in case of emergencies.
One of the other questions that was raised in Mr. Vaccarella's report was whether the applicant would be willing to provide an as-built site plan once these additional pieces of equipment and the overall construction was completed. Is the applicant amenable to that?
Yes,
And just a quick, the generator fully complies in its location, correct?
I believe so, yes.
The variances are for other equipment, other than the generator.
Correct. But that is part of the amended site plan.
Yeah, I get it.
And if the board grants the relief we're asking for tonight, the applicant agrees to abide by any conditions that the board imposes, as well as the conditions that were in the prior resolutions, correct?
yes, that's correct.
Okay, because there were some things that we need to comply with and continue to comply with, and they will not change if the board approves this application,
Yes,
correct? Okay,
correct.
I don't have any other questions.
Anybody have any questions? Jeff? No? Board? Anyone in the
There
audience?
are members online. I'm not sure if they're here for your application or maybe they didn't hear the announcement for Flemington Family, but there's just two other members.
Okay, so we understand there's two individuals online. This is for the Apex Treatment Center application. Do you have any questions of this witness? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on.
I want to know
No.
what, hello, hi, my
Go
name is
ahead.
I wanted to know,
No, time. You got,
We have to identify you. We didn't get that. Your name is what?
my name is Madhu.
Okay, that's your first name or your last name?
That's my first name.
Okay, can you spell that? Because we're too far away from the screen to see.
M as Mary, A apple, D David, H Henry, U umbrella.
Okay, last name?
D as boy, A apple, G George, R Roger, I indigo.
Okay, we went too fast
Just
again.
gotta slow.
wait,
Can you give us the last name spelling slow again?
B as boy, A as apple, G as George, R as Roger, I as indigo.
Okay,
Okay.
and your address, please?
1209 Normandy Court.
Okay.
So I just wanted to know, is this regarding the letter that we got in the
Hold
mail?
up 1 second, please. Hold up. Are you here on the Apex Treatment Center application, or are you here on the Flemington
Family
Family
Partners.
Partnership application?
That's exactly what I wanted to know. I am here because I received a letter in the mail and I had
Ma'am?
a Zoom call.
Ma'am, I know, I understand you received the notice. I'm not trying to be blunt, but if you just read the notice, it states what the applicant, who the applicant is and what they're seeking. In the beginning of the meeting, we did state that they are asking to be adjourned for tonight. They will be carried to the January 18th meeting. You will receive a new notice in the mail and a new notice will be published in the newspapers.
Okay.
Okay, if you have any other questions or concerns, in the notice too, they state that you can contact me. I am the board secretary, and you can come view the plans at any time.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I believe there might be a second. I believe there might be a second person on the line.
That's okay, I'm leaving. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good evening. Okay,
Okay, thank you. I'd like to call our engineer, Mr. Benedetto, please.
You can have a seat next to Kara if you want. That microphone is on.
Okay.
You can move around with it too.
And if you want, you can just look at Jackie because she's the stenographer.
No problem.
Hey, Rob, if you could just state your name again for the record, please.
Sure. Robert Benedetto.
And can you give the board the benefit of your education and experience?
Yes, I have a bachelor's in engineering from the University of Delaware. I have over 10 years experience as a practicing civil engineer, licensed for about 6 of them, in a number of states, obviously New Jersey, New York, Connecticut.
Just slow it down.
Graduate of the University of Delaware, 10 years practicing civil engineer. I've appeared in front of a number of boards across the state. I've appeared in front of a number of boards across the state. I'm a practicing civil engineer for about 10 years. Licensed in a number of states, and my license is in good standing in all states.
great.
Have you appeared before other boards in the state of New Jersey?
Yes,
And have you been qualified as an expert in the field of civil engineering before those boards?
yes.
Madam Chair, I'd offer.
Any questions? Hearing none, will qualify the witness.
Wonderful, thank you. Rob, did you prepare the engineering and resolution compliance drawings in connection with the prior approvals?
I did.
And were those drawings submitted to the township?
They were.
And what were you advised upon the township's review of those drawings?
That based on the additional needs for the site that Kara discussed and we're going to discuss further, We needed amended site plan approval and variance approval because of the inclusion of the improvements.
Okay, and we're going to go through those improvements tonight, correct?
Yes,
Okay, I have submitted to Taylor what I'd like to mark as Exhibit 1. And what this is a copy of the site plan that was submitted to the board in connection with the application, but it has bubbles around just the additional improvement areas, so we can draw your attention directly to them.
Sheet 4 of 10.
yes.
Okay, I just thought you might want to put it up there.
We will put it up there as demonstrative evidence.
Okay.
In other words, it doesn't get exhibit number, it's just demonstrative. Something that's already in the board file.
Okay, so no need to mark as an exhibit. We could put it up there though, so everybody can see it.
And quite frankly, since there are no more members of the public down the line, and the board members have the plans in front of them, they probably have a better look.
Okay, that's
if
fine.
they just have what's in front of them and up on that board. and put it up on the screen.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay, Rob, why don't you just go through the additional equipment and improvements we're looking to make by way of this application?
Nice and slowly.
Understood. So as mentioned, the application is going to need a number of additional pieces of equipment than what was originally included on the site plan. That equipment includes, as discussed, a generator, which is in the rear of the site. The generator is compliant from a setback standpoint, no variance necessary. It's also, we'll have a landscape screening around it as well. The other equipment in the front yard, which will need C variance relief, includes 6 heat pumps, a water meter pit, and a 6 to 7.5 ton cooling condenser.
Jeff's memo dated November 9th says 4 heat pumps. You're saying it's 6 heat pumps?
It's 6 heat pumps, yes.
Okay, and those are the items that require C variance relief because they are placed in front of the proposed to be placed in front of the primary structure. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and then there's a few more pieces of equipment we're looking to include.
On the side yard, there will be a 15 to 20 ton cooling condenser, a grease interceptor, and a kitchen makeup air unit. These improvements have to go at grade as there's a gable roof on the building, so they can't be placed on the roof.
Okay, and can you go through the relief, the C variance relief that's required for each one of those?
Sure. So we'll start with the front yard. As Kara mentioned, there are accessory structures not permitted in front of the primary structure, so that's the variance relief for the 3 in the front yard. And then for the side yard, the cooling condenser, 20 feet is required. We are proposing 18.6 feet. For the grease interceptor, 20 feet is required. We're proposing 10.5 feet. For the kitchen makeup air unit, 20 feet is required, and we are proposing 7.5 feet.
Okay, and could you just explain to the board what is being proposed by way of this additional equipment to mitigate any impact that it might have on the neighboring properties or the view of the property from the roadway?
Having described the record, what are the neighboring properties?
Certainly can.
And the reason I'm asking is even the conforming generator, generally what the board has done with generators, if it's a residential property, they've imposed a condition, look, if it's an emergency, it's an emergency, you use it whenever you have to, but for exercising a generator with residences, they generally impose the condition only Monday, Friday, from like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. when people generally are out of the house. But if there's no residential properties around us, the board might not see any reason not to impose that condition. So what are, you describe the neighboring properties? I guess if you use your sheet, the cover sheet, 1 of 10, it shows property, you just start somewhere, go around the turn, and describe what the uses are around the property.
My understanding is that there's no residential property surrounding the subject property. And I believe it's all commercial uses.
Jeff, do you know exactly what's around there? First,
Yeah,
do you
so
agree
you
there's no residential uses?
I disagree because of the Raritan Town Square.
You can't
Microphone.
hear you, microphone.
The Raritan Town Square has residential use on it, but it's on the southerly side of the lot.
Can you describe, do you know you know all the uses around it or not? If you don't, I'm gonna ask him.
I don't.
Can you, do you know the uses around it?
I'm trying to look at the resolution as well to see if maybe that was in one of the prior resolutions.
Hey, Jeff, the Raritan Town Square is on what lot and block?
Block 16.01, lot 35.
Okay, that's the 52-acre
Yes.
property?
Was that included in our notice?
Jeff, is that Walmart and Lowe's with the apartments on the other side?
On the other side, yeah.
All the way on the other
On
side?
the other side. Yeah.
Okay, so,
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
okay, so the Raritan Town Square to the south, but the apartments are on the southern side of that site.
Yes.
Okay, Jeff, what else is around this site?
Commercial use, industrial use,
Okay, so this is.
no resident, no
Okay,
residential.
So.
No issue.
Does the board care about when that generator is exercised?
No, not at all.
Okay. All right, have a continuous testimony.
And then from an aesthetic standpoint, there will be landscape screening in front of all the equipment, shielding it from the frontage, from the street, from the adjacent property. The generator itself will have shrubs around it, so you won't see it. And I believe that should cover.
How about the front property? That's the issue.
There will be, each piece of equipment will have shrubs in front of it and a couple of shade trees are
Jeff,
proposed
have
as well.
you reviewed that landscaping?
Yeah, the only question I have is that you're proposing a heat box. Is that correct?
Hot
Hot
box?
box?
The water meter pit?
Yeah, is that above ground or underground?
Uh, Underground.
Okay.
Where is that hot box on the plan?
It's on the property line, near the frontage. Near the,
It's underground, but
Is it totally underground or does it come up a little above ground?
Yeah, I can have the architect testify to that.
Okay, we'll put that up for him.
I also have one more thing, and if we have to hold, we will. Have you considered any other locations for that and why? Have you considered any other locations and why did you choose this? Is this the only option you have?
Any other locations for what?
For the ones, the equipment which is in the front of the building,
the heat pumps.
the heat pumps. You can
Yeah, we'll
answer
have-
later.
We'll have
If
the
that's-
architect
yes,
testify.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so the proposed landscaping and proposed screening, in your opinion, would mitigate any potential detriments that the additional equipment may cause.
yes,
Do you believe that there would be any negative impact, in your opinion, on the neighboring properties as a result of these additional pieces of equipment?
no,
And do you believe that they would improve the operation of the facility as testified to by the applicant?
yes, I believe they're essential for the operations.
Um,
How about noise?
I was-
How much, the 6 to 7.5 ton cooling condenser, how much noise?
Yeah, I did have the applicant here for that reason, in case you wanted specifics. We have cut sheet exhibits, so we can go through all of that for you. And obviously, the equipment would need to comply with all state noise requirements at the property boundary lines. Mr. Benedetto, do you have an opportunity to review Mr. Vaccarella's letter of November 9th?
Yes,
Okay, and any issue with any of the comments in that letter?
no,
I don't believe there were any requests. There was, however.
There's item number 3. The 5 foot by 5 foot.
Oh,
concrete
yes,
pad
thank you,
without-
thank you. Yep. What is that 5 foot by 5 foot concrete pad in the easterly side yard of the property going to be utilized for?
It's an egress landing for a door.
It's a what?
Egress landing for a door.
I'm sorry, for what?
It's for a door. It's for egress.
Okay, thank you.
So none of the equipment that we're proposing is going to be located on that pad.
No,
No extension of any sidewalk or anything.
no.
Okay, and then the other letter that we received was from the fire marshal, and that's dated November 13, 2023. There was a request that the proposed heat pump along Minnehaha Road be located no less than 36 inches from the fire department connection and in a way that would not obstruct its view. Do you have any issue with doing anything from an engineering standpoint to comply with that?
No, we'll comply.
Can I ask a question? He wants it no less. Normally they say no. He wants it close.
Mhm.
Does anyone know why? I was curious. No, I have no idea. Normally they say we don't want it any closer than 36. Here he wants it, are you sure he means it, Jeff? Does he really mean no less than, or does he mean no more than?
I believe he means no more than, but I don't have the letter.
I think when he's saying the heat pump
Yeah,
is
no,
no closer than 36 inches, so a minimum of 36 inches.
Not, yeah, so.
Jeff, do you need the letter?
No
Jeff?
closer.
Do you need the letter?
We're gonna
no,
cross
well, that's
out.
kind of what he's saying, no
it's in
less than
there.
36, so it can't be 35, can't be 34. It has to be at least 36. Right?
I was reading that it could be right on top of it. He doesn't want it more than 36 inches away from it. So I'm gonna change the wording to say, instead of no less than, no closer than 36 inches. Okay, Jeff, have you? I agree. Okay.
And we can always confirm with Dennis, the fire
I
marshal.
mean, honestly, I think it means the same thing.
Yeah.
But that's.
I think it
fine.
means the same thing as
That's
well.
No closer.
I think it means the same thing is what he's saying. Yeah, I think what you're saying probably is more clear than
Yes.
what's saying in there.
Okay. Got it.
I'm with you on that.
So no closer, and if you want as a condition of approval, we could certainly meet with the fire marshal or consult the fire marshal.
No closer than. If there's a problem when things in draft, I'm sure we're gonna hear about it.
Well, here's a question for the app. Does that hurt? Does that language change anything from your drawing? No.
No.
That's what we testified to. I don't have any other questions.
Any questions from the board? Professionals? Professional? And there are no,
There is another member online, but
There
I'm
is?
not sure. They didn't address anything when we stated about Flemington family.
Okay, so let me-
Make it.
let me ask,
There's only one other member, but I don't know if they've heard Flemington families matter.
okay, so the other person that is online, we are going over the Apex treatment application. If you have any questions for this witness, which is their engineer, and would like to ask them. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on.
Thank you. Based upon some of the questions, I think it would be helpful for the board for us to call the architect. So I'd like to call Mr. Longo. Mr. Longo, could you please state your name again for the record?
Yes, Robert Longo, Longo.
Okay, and can you give the board the benefit of your education and experience?
Yes, I'm a founding partner of Cornerstone Architectural Group. Address 202 Hamilton Boulevard. That's in South Plainfield, New Jersey.
Have you appeared before
Oh, thank you.
boards in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, I have a Bachelor of Architecture degree, which I received in 1986 from the New Jersey School of Architecture and NGIT. I'm a licensed architect in multiple states. I've been licensed in New Jersey for 34 years.
Okay, and when you appear before other boards, were you qualified as an expert in the field of architecture?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to submit him as an expert in that field.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Okay, we'll accept them. Thank you.
Okay,
So we
thank
just
you.
Handed out a bunch of exhibits. that start with exhibit 2, because you assumed you were gonna have an
I
exhibit
did,
1.
exactly.
So we'll just note for the record, there is no exhibit A1.
Yeah, it's probably the easiest way, right?
Yeah, and then the exhibit 2, let's see, exhibit 2,
2 through 8.
3, they're all gonna be exhibit A2.
Yeah.
A through to A8.
Yep. Okay. So Mr. Longo, if we could put, all right, so they have copies,
That's right.
not putting, I know, I have, you can have mine.
I took Jeff's.
Okay. I'll send you an email copy. Taylor does have email copies. Don't put them on the screens. You think that's easier, just have them in front of you?
Well, ask if there's anyone still on this.
Okay, so for the exhibits, we have handouts. If the individual on the screen would like to see them, please speak up and we'll have them displayed online. If not, we're just going to move forward. Okay,
It could also be someone from my camp as well. That's possible.
It just says I.
Yeah, it's possible it could be someone from my camp.
okay.
Okay, so Mr. Longo, you've heard some questions of the board with regard to the proposed additional improvements. So I'd like to go through each one and then we can discuss the location or alternate locations. So first we have what will be marked as exhibit A2. And could you just describe what those are?
Okay, first of all, we're gonna call A2 the heat pumps cut sheet, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. A2 shows an image of what the heat pump looks like. There are 2 images on the that document. One of those pieces goes outside the building, the other one goes inside the building. One that is tan in color but has a fan on it, that's what goes outside. The dimensions are indicated in the box. It's approximately 34 inches wide, 15 inches deep, and 35 inches tall. For reference, this desk is probably about 30 inches tall, so it would be about this high. Okay. Physically, it's probably about half the size of the condensing unit you have in your home if you have an air conditioner. And so it's smaller than that. This is more efficient than that. There are 6 of these total across the front of the building. And these are needed to heat and cool the residential units that are serving the facility.
Okay, so let's stay there for a second.
Okay.
So these 6 heat pumps would be located in front of the principal dwelling and require that variance relief from the front yard requirements as Mr. Benedetto testified to. Is that correct?
Correct.
Any noise emanating from these?
These are about the same noise that your compressor at home would let off, probably about 50 decibels or so.
Okay, so in your opinion, it would comply with the state noise requirements
Absolutely.
at the boundary line? Any
How about
odor?
for the 6 collectively, what's the requirement? There's only 6 of them.
Well, if it's, the New Jersey Noise Code is NJAC 7:29-1 at set. In there, I believe it says that if the property line borders a residential property, then it can't exceed 50 decibels. And if it borders a commercial property, it can't exceed 65 decibels, I believe. Do you know?
That is correct. But these are not close to the property line of these
No,
specific
it's not
units.
that,
Yeah.
it's the noise measured at the property line.
Correct. I'd have to calculate that, but decibel ratings are a lot more than
Right,
that.
put it this way, but you testified that this unit's not gonna exceed 50 decibels, period,
Correct.
right? So if that's 50 decibels at the unit, correct?
Correct.
Well, by definition, by the time you get to the property line, it's not gonna be more than 50 decibels, correct?
That is correct.
And there's also a township performance standard that they must comply with as a nuisance. If there's a standard in which they have, like Mr. Joe said, but there is a township standard that they have to comply with.
And put it this way, if the board grants this and the condition is gonna be all your equipment has to comply with the NJDEP noise code and the township performance standards, you're gonna say yes, correct?
Correct.
So if they don't, they're gonna have to either install mufflers or put in sound fencing around it or something like that, correct? Correct?
Correct.
Okay, any noise, any odor, smoke, any other negative impacts as a result of these.
Well, there shouldn't be smoke unless the thing's on fire, right?
Correct.
I'm just making sure the record's clear. Nothing else is
I'm
going
making
on.
sure the record's clear too.
In that case, there's nothing we can do about it. Okay, anything else you'd like to
Call the fire department.
tell the board with regard to the heat pumps?
Well, there was a question
Yes.
about alternate,
Yes.
right? So I never want to say there's no other option, okay? But these need to go in the front of the building because of the way the building operates. You're choosing to put them on the ground because the building has a gable roof, but much like most houses, it's got a sloped roof. So there's no place to put them on the roof unless we were to create like a platform. I suppose we could make a platform and display these things on the roof if we wanted to do that, but I think that would look much more objectionable than anything else we want to do. So this really is the preferred solution. And again, they're about
But
35
nowhere
inches
else
tall.
in the ground, like at the back of the building, side of the building.
There's no opportunity to put them in the back of the building just because of where the mechanical equipment needs to be. Because of the way the building is set up and where the apartment, the resident rooms are that these are serving.
Why don't you refer the board to exhibit 6?
That would be A6, and just indicate what that's entitled for the record.
Those are photos showing evidence of 2 previous condenser units that were removed.
Correct. These are photographs that I took maybe a year ago. I see there's no leaves on the trees. So I guess what I wanted to point out is that there was a precedent for this. The way this building is set up, it requires equipment to be outside on the ground. And if you look at this photograph, I've got 2 circles on the front, that's the front elevation. And there's 2 circles and there's 2 blow-ups of those images. And you can see what we call electrical disconnects on those images, those boxes. So if you have a compressor outside your house, you have the same type of box and that brings power to the condenser. So although these condensers aren't in these photographs, those 2 boxes, in my opinion, are clear evidence that there at one time were condensers, very much like these in front of the building.
And chances is that these new ones are better visually.
Better visually, more
And noise
quieter,
wise
more energy
than the
efficient,
ones.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions with regard to those?
No.
I think if we take them one by one,
Yes.
it'll be easier. All right, so now I'll direct you to what we're going to mark as Exhibit A3.
And we're going to call this condenser unit cut sheet exhibit.
And could you describe for the board what that is, please?
This is a similar device. Now, this is a larger scale, if you will, unit that does the same thing in heat and cools. So just as background, the 6 heat pumps that we looked at previously are cooling and heating the resident rooms. This particular unit is heating and cooling the common areas on the 2nd floor of the building, which include some recreation space and some lounge space and a couple of bathrooms. So that's an nurse's station. So that's what this is taking care
I'm
of.
sorry, where is this located?
This is also in the front yard. So we have the 7 pieces of equipment in the front yard, the 6 heat pumps and this 1 condensing unit, which is a little larger than the other ones. The dimensions are here. It's 36 by 42 by 40 inches high. This is probably slightly larger than the unit you may have at home, unless you've got a very large home, it may be about this size. So again, it's very much like a residential condensing unit serving a larger home.
And your testimony with regard to why this needs to be in the front yard?
It's same condition. It's the way the building's designed. This unit needs to find a home in the front yard because that is where the equipment that it serves is located on the inside of the building.
Okay, so same questions with regard to noise. Will this be 50 decibels or less at the unit itself?
Yeah, I'm reading the manufacturer's information. It says this unit is 50 decibels at the unit.
And which, again, to Mr. Drill's point, once we get to the property line, that 50 decibels will obviously decrease.
Correct.
And I'm going to ask it again, any odor or smoke or anything like that emanating from this?
No.
Okay, any other questions with regards to that?
I have,
Any
a
odor of smoking.
I have a question. What is the height of the unit?
It's on the document.
40
It's 40 inches.
When looking at the landscaping plan, would you say that this will be covered by the proposed landscaping?
I defer that to Mr. Benedetto.
You don't have to answer now, just be prepared, they're gonna ask you, and if your plants are not 40 inches, they're gonna ask you at planting to make them 40 inches. So
We'll tell you right now that if they're not, we can have as a condition that they will.
So they don't have to wait 5 years to grow. Because, just for the record, what's across Minneapolis Road? That's the front yard. What's on the other side?
It's CPEX.
If you don't know, Jeff, what's on the other side?
It's the Conclave Brewery and the CEA.
CEA.
Yeah, CEA, well, the
CEA is.
Center
For
for
Educational
Education
Advancement.
Advancement, yeah.
Isn't BJ's right around the corner?
No, that's,
Well, yeah.
well, around the corner, yeah.
And then
That's
there's-
far away.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys had that property before you for use variance to allow that brewery.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. That's actually catty corner. The CEA is directly
Right.
across, and their front of the building has very little, I think and the windows are high up.
You're basically talking about cars passing by,
Yeah,
you know, to have an aesthetically pleasing environment. Right. But they've already agreed before you even ask that if the plantings aren't 40 inches at time of planting, they will be.
yeah, in my opinion, this is the best looking building on the street right now.
So they just have to keep it that way.
Yeah.
That's the plan. Okay, any other questions with regard to A3? Okay, let's move on to A4. Which we will entitle Makeup Air Unit Cut Sheet Exhibit.
Right, and then we're gonna have an interesting situation with exhibit A5, because it's gonna be called the same thing, we're gonna ask them what's the difference.
Yep. All right, so let's describe Exhibit A4.
Which one are you calling it for, just so I'm clear?
So I'm sorry.
I had it all as one thing.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, all right. So A4. A4 is the same as A3, except has a much larger capacity. Its physical dimensions are approximately twice the size. So the dimensions are indicated here.
But
This
height
unit-
is at 40, right? Height is still 40.
Height is still 40, correct, but the footprint is about twice the size. So let's, if you took two of your condensers and put them side by side, that's about how big this unit is. Because this unit is taking care of the entire first floor. Whereas the other units collectively are taking care of the second floor.
Yeah, and describe to me, what's the difference between a condensing unit and a makeup air unit?
Condensing unit basically cools, provides cooling. Makeup air unit is for the kitchen. Makeup air unit provides intake air.
It brings air from the outside into the building.
Correct.
Circulation.
Correct. We'll get to that. But we can talk about it now if we're okay with this one. We can move on.
Location, this is going to be
This is on the
located where?
side yard.
Okay. And it's within the side yard setback requirements, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Jones is gonna ask you the same question
Yeah.
he asked about the others. Why does it have to be there? Why can't it be in the rear?
Yeah, because again, this is serving equipment. So again, just like at home, right? You've got this unit that creates cooling and it feeds a mechanical unit probably in your basement in your attic. So it needs to be in very close proximity to that piece of equipment. So just the way the building physically is, the air handler for this piece of equipment is in the basement of this building, just like yours at home may be in the basement. So this needs to be as close as practical to that piece of equipment.
How about the noise generated?
It's the same as the other unit, 50 decibels at the unit.
Any odor?
No.
Okay, so now we've got exhibit A5, which is also,
Makeup air unit cut sheet exhibit. So what's the difference between the makeup air unit shown in Exhibit A5 and the makeup air unit shown in Exhibit A4. Are they the same?
No, 8.4 is not a makeup air unit. 8.4 is a condensing unit, which provides cooling only.
A4 says makeup air unit.
Yeah.
Eight-
it is.
eight-
A3 is the condensing
Yep.
unit.
Hang on,
Yeah, let me have.
8.4.
Oh, you know what we're doing? I'm so sorry. Yeah, no, we did it right. Okay. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4 says makeup air unit. 3 was the condenser. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, okay.
That's 4.
I just mislabeled that. Okay, yes, so 4 should have been, it is a condensing unit, so
So
that's not my
Exhibit
typo.
A4 is not a makeup air unit.
No, I'm
It
sorry.
is a
It's a condensing unit like A3,
it's a condensing unit.
same as A3, but larger. Thank you for correcting that.
Taylor, you correct the copy that's going in the board file.
I can resubmit copies.
Does Taylor have a copy? of it?
Yes. You have an electronic copy. You don't have a hard copy.
Yeah.
Do you have your copy right now?
Yeah, you know what I'm gonna do? Listen, Jeff doesn't have one. I didn't have it. I'm gonna give you mine at the end of this hearing, and you can just scan it. Give me a scanned copy tomorrow. I'm gonna correct it on.
Because you don't want me to resubmit with the correct label on it.
No.
Okay. Okay, so now we're on to Exhibit A5, which is labeled makeup air unit, cut sheet exhibit.
Right, okay. So this building has a commercial kitchen in it. So there's people living in this building, sleeping overnight, staying for several days to a week. So there's 3 meals cooked a day in the facility, so it has a commercial kitchen. And that'll lead to discussion about the next 2 pieces of equipment. One is, which is a makeup air unit. So any restaurant with an exhaust hood has to have a makeup air unit because these exhaust hoods remove a lot of air. So what the makeup air unit does is simply makes up for the air that's being removed by the kitchen hood. So this basically unit will take in fresh air from the outside, heat it, and bring it into the kitchen to replace the air that's being exhausted through the kitchen hood. And this is on the side yard, right next to where the kitchen is located.
Okay, and I assume that's the reason why it has to be located there?
Yes.
Will this comply with the noise requirements of the state?
Yes.
Okay, 50 decibels or less?
Yes.
Actually, or 65 or less.
Yes.
And any odor
No.
emanating from this?
No.
Any other questions regarding the makeup air unit?
No.
You already did Exhibit A6, the photos.
Correct.
Now you're on to Exhibit A7. Use Interceptor cut sheet exhibit.
Right. Okay. So again, this is needed to go along with the commercial kitchen. When kitchens obviously create grease, this is connected to any sink that could produce grease. So this device essentially filters out, separates the grease from the rest of the sanitary water before it's discharged into the sewer. So this unit is below grade.
Say below grade?
Below grade. Yeah, so all you will see is that round cap that you see in the image. So everything you see here, except for that round circle, will be under the ground.
Does this essentially operate like a grease trap?
Yeah. Yep. Grease trap is the common incorrect term for a grease interceptor.
That's probably why I've been calling it that for
Well,
years.
You're not alone.
Okay, noise, location first,
Side yard,
okay, and must be located there because of the location of the kitchen?
the kitchen and the sanitary lateral, yes. It's
How
in
about
between the two.
smell?
Smell, it will not smell unless you open the cap, which will happen, once a month or so, pump it out, just like you would evacuate, say, a septic tank.
And there would be an outside company that would be hired to come in and clean out that grease interceptor at least
Correct.
once a month?
Correct.
Would you also have them come in as necessary if for some reason it would be necessary to do it more than once a month.
Oh, yes.
I have a question. Is there a possibility by review of other agencies that this location could change? Whether that be the health department or plumbing? Has that ever?
I don't see that being an issue or
Okay.
necessary at all, no.
All right.
Yeah.
A8,
A8.
the generator cut sheet exhibit.
Correct. And although this does not require any relief, this is a component of the amended minor site plan approval. Could you just describe the location of the generator and the size for the board, please?
Yeah, so the generator is in the rear yard. I will tell you that we have not fully discussed exactly what the client wants to back up on this generator. Whether it's the whole building or just certain circuits. So we assume the worst case scenario, we size this generator back up the entire building. So it will be no larger than this. I think there's a reasonable chance that it will be smaller
Yeah.
than this.
According to this cut sheet, this generator is 9 feet high.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Because it has a sound attenuation enclosure around it, because the generators, as you're aware, get loud.
Yeah,
So in order to meet the sound requirements of the state, it needs to have a sound attenuation enclosure around it, which
so
adds.
so
to
I
the-
know it doesn't need a setback variance, but how are you gonna, if the board can ask if this needs to be screened, how are you gonna screen something like that? Because if you put a 9-foot fence, that would require variance, because the highest fence you can have in the rear, I think, is 7 feet.
In a non-residential zone, it's 8 feet.
8 feet. So are you sure that you could need a generator that's gonna be this tall?
If my client wants to back up the entire building, and we meet the sound ordinance, yes, it'll be this big.
Okay, so I think you're gonna have to amend the application right now to see fence height variance to have a 9-foot high fence.
Will we need a variance if we landscaped it to screen it?
Okay, but if you're gonna landscape it, I don't think you're gonna want to, before you agree to plant 9-foot plantings at planting, right, which is gonna be a lot more money than 40-inch plantings at the time of planting. It might be less expensive for you to put a fence, but that's, maybe you ask the board if you could do one or the other.
Exactly, that was gonna be my suggestion. If we could amend the application to request the C variance. And again, all of this is with the assumption that they're going to look for a generator to back up the entire building. But proceeding on the worst case scenario, either get the C variance for the fence and install the fence, or
no variance, but you're gonna have plantings.
Correct.
At the time of planting.
at least 9 feet.
9 feet high, and they're conical, right?
Right.
So if you have 9-foot high conical plantings, you can see through the top. So it's gonna have, what John Thomas, the board's landscape architect, was gonna say, you're gonna need 2-row plantings, what is it called? Staggered. Staggered, so.
So it operates more like a berm than landscape.
Yes.
Well, I can tell you that, so this building has, the back of this building will be the front entrance that my client will be using. This building has no parking in the front.
Yeah.
It has 2 doors, so the front door really will not be used.
Right.
At least on the front entrance, it might be used for people to go outside, maybe, you know, but it's not gonna be used as an entrance. So everything's gonna come in the back. So my client is not going to, their visitors, clients to see this thing either. So they're gonna want to screen this.
Yeah.
For their own benefit. So I can assure you that, this thing will be hidden to the best extent possible. So whatever requirements the board
So
would
if-
put on that.
If you put the fence, what is the noise level of this?
The noise is gonna be contained. The reason it's 9 feet high, the generator itself is not 9 feet high.
Okay.
There is a
Okay,
sound.
It's a box. It's in a box. It's in a
Okay.
soundproof, not
Acoustic.
soundproof, but a sound enclosure.
okay. So then it would make sense for them to be able to choose whether they want a fence or,
Either a 9-foot high fence or
The
a
landscape.
row of 9-foot high plantings.
okay,
Double. And that's why I make sure, the generator is not 9 feet high. This generator comes in a sound reducing the enclosure.
Yes,
Okay,
That's what's 9 feet. high.
that's what's 9 feet.
And so what the board is saying is, we're amending the application to say, look, we want the option of screening the enclosure with either a 9-foot high fence, which they would need a C variance, I suggest a C2 variance. Or if they don't want to go with the fence, they don't use that variance, they then have to put in a double staggered 9-foot high planting.
That's a word.
John, excuse my ignorance. What kind of fence is it gonna be?
And
What kind of fence is it gonna be? You have different kind of
Talk about
fences.
next.
Funky box.
You might want, a nice looking fence, not chain link with slats.
no, yeah.
Like a
Might want
vinyl.
A board fence or whatever. So
What are you thinking?
do we have any, has the applicant provided any input?
again,
No.
you have clients that are going in there.
Exactly. So again, presumably, you heard the testimony, this is going to be the front of the building, this is what everyone's going to see. So I'm assuming it's going to be something that's aesthetically pleasing. Something else that Mr. Longo just asked, would the board be open to a mix of the two as well? Again, we could certainly put in there a condition to the satisfaction of the board's landscape architect and other professionals. But a mix of the two could also be aesthetically pleasing.
You mean
as well.
like,
Fence the side,
side-
providing around the front or vice versa. or
and
a
then
little-
do plantings around the back?
Right.
Yeah, I think we would be, yeah. So what you're saying is if you go for the mix, they still have to go for the
We
C2,
would, yes,
Correct.
and you're okay with that?
yes.
Okay,
And again, we could obviously have it reviewed by the board's professionals.
yes,
Yeah.
we need those
But
conditions.
again, just the most flexibility that we have so everybody can
Yeah.
have weigh in on it.
Jeff, you okay?
Yeah, I was just gonna suggest any type or even a natural color of the fencing and then.
Well, again, make the fencing subject to John Thomas's review. He's done that.
Yeah.
before. He
Okay.
reviewed fences and he reviewed landscape.
Okay,
That's fine. Okay, that was the last cut sheet exhibit that we have. And I don't believe, just let me check, I have any more questions. Mr. Longo. Will the inclusion, other than depicting these on the architectural drawings, will anything else change on your on your drawings as a result of these additional pieces of equipment?
No.
okay, does any of the board members have any questions? Jeff, has everything been satisfied in your review report?
Yes, with the understanding that an as-built survey would be provided in time for.
Yes.
In conjunction with the other application.
Okay.
The applicant did testify as to that, so.
The only question I have, Jeff and John, is I think it's more around timing because I don't think he'll deny us. John Thomas hasn't seen this application and now we're asking him to view it, but yet we're going to vote on it tonight.
Right. It's up to the board.
The possibility of him saying
Well,
absolutely
he's
not.
seen it.
Yeah,
he's
John
seen it.
Morgan
He's
Thomas
seen it.
saw this. I gave it to him and said if he actually needs to do a review as
Got
if they were coming
Yeah.
back for the first time.
Okay,
He said no.
We didn't have the details that it was. gonna
Right.
be.
And the question is it a lawful or unlawful delegation of your authority to John Thomas to do it?
Mhm.
You were talking about the design of the building? I
Yeah.
said You can't delegate that.
right.
But if it's a design of screening where you've worked with John Thomas for how many years?
Yeah, the
and
chances of,
He
yeah,
kind of knows what you guys want, and if they end up not liking something he's proposed, they come back to you anyway. And if John is nervous
Mhm.
that you're not gonna like what he proposes, he will bring that back to you before. it's done.
okay. All right,
Here's the question. He's seen the application?
Yes,
Okay.
but he didn't know that it's 9.
But he's seen the application, but he hasn't seen these exhibits. He did not know, neither did we know, that there was gonna be a 9-foot high generator in the backyard.
John, it could be restrictions required.
you gotta talk in the mic.
Can't hear what you're saying.
Gotta talk in the mic.
We always do this. John, can you hear me now? Okay. No, you can put, with the restrictions, you can make restrictions if, that John can go for.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah,
saying. In my
yeah,
opinion,
yeah.
this would be a lawful delegation to him under the circumstances.
Yeah.
And we are providing, Mr. Block, we are providing some guidance to say the 9-foot high fence, the staggered trees,
Put it
that's
this way.
what they'll be looking at it for.
If you're not comfortable with that, then you're gonna continue them and make them.
No, it's just that we haven't done this before, so I'm just making sure that we're clear that
Yeah,
the chances of him coming back and saying no way, or he'll just come back.
Yeah, I think knowing John Thomas, and I
Yeah.
think you're right. He knows what we want.
Yeah.
And I think the applicant's being very
Yeah.
flexible with it. I think we should delegate that. That would be my vote.
Yes.
That's my vote also.
Okay. No other questions? Again, I'm just going to ask if there's anybody online that has any questions of this witness. Okay, just making sure. I think we're good to go. You want to do a closing?
Well, before she does.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian.
So my legal advice on these variances, for the fence, C2, obviously it's aesthetics. Okay, the maximum fence height is 8 feet, it's just 1 foot more, for purposes, better aesthetics, that's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
The other variances, if you're gonna grant them, I would suggest you go C2 and not C1. Because technically, they could put these at the rear, just be very long runs, it's not something that you would normally do. And the theory of the C2 variances for all those accessory structures could be something like the equipment must be in close proximity to the equipment inside the building. That's why they've proposed them where they proposed them. C2 variance would be warranted to allow the operation of the use which this board granted a D1 variance for. If you granted the D1 variance to allow this use, and this will make the use operate more efficiently, you could say that purposes of zoning would be advanced by granting the C2 variances to let them have it in this location. That's my suggestion if you're gonna grant the variances to use that reason.
Okay. Okay.
Disagree with me?
My only comment is just how this relates to the existing application. I know that there's going to be a resolution drafted, but I believe that there's a pre-construction meeting already scheduled. So
There, so just to explain to the
Okay,
board,
so hold up a second. So put it this way. My understanding is there's no conditions that require any of the accessory structures shown in this set of plans to be relocated. Agreed? The conditions that I have heard are all equipment has to comply with the NJDG noise code. That's not a construction permit one anyway, that's CO. The final as-built has to include all the proposed improvements, that's not construction permit, that's CO. The proposed heat pump shall be located no closer than 36 inches. Do you know how many inches away from the fire department connection the heat pump is shown on those
It's
plans?
about 4 feet.
That's not gonna be a problem. Any other landscaping thing?
Okay.
So I would suggest that the applicant ask the board, they can't tell Jeff, as zoning officer, what to do, and they can't tell the construction code official what to do, but I suggest they ask the board, just not a formal motion, but the sense of the board, do a, you know, a straw poll, that would they ask the zoning officer and the construction official to let them go ahead with the pre-construction meeting, let them go ahead with the issuance of permits and everything, as if the resolution was adopted tonight for those improvements shown on the plan. That's my suggestion.
so
Can I ask
requested,
them?
so requested.
You guys want to do a straw poll? You all right with that?
You okay with that?
I'm fine.
Lindsay, yeah?
we've had some situations where the board has said no.
You're right, you're right.
Okay, you know, a whole bunch of conditions. This thing's gonna have the least
Yeah.
number of conditions in a very long time.
And just so the board members understand as well, what has been presented for resolution compliance and building permit issuance is the plans with the bubbles around them, so they do know exactly what it is for coming to this board before. So it's
Good.
it's clear.
That's true.
So you answered my question. I was gonna ask Jeff, do you see any surprises here?
No.
No, the only surprise is the height of the agenda.
Yep.
And just so everyone understands, the reason we did it that way with the bubbles, these plans need to be reviewed and approved by the DCA. It's a long drawn out process. They were included on the plans submitted to the DCA and have been approved. If we needed to take those off for resolution compliance, we would have to go back to the DCA, and that's at least another 6 to 8 months worth of time that we just couldn't afford. So bubbling them, we felt was a good middle ground and allowed us to proceed and still come back before this board for approval.
Good.
Well, just real quick, with the generator and the 9 feet, that has a noise canceling
Yeah.
component, correct?
Yeah.
Not canceling, but
Well-
mitigation.
Mitigation.
The whole enclosure
Yeah,
is a noise
I got you.
reduction.
Okay,
It's supposed to only allow, you know how many decibels it allows out? And by the way, if it doesn't meet the 50
Yeah.
or the 65, then they have to add a muffler.
right.
You make mufflers for these things.
The only reason I ask that is because I noticed that when residences have these generators, they're loud.
Loud noise.
So this may actually be very beneficial. I know it's,
This will be quieter than something that's 1/10 its size.
okay, that's what I thought. That's what I figured. Okay.
And the only reason why it's high is because of that.
Right.
So there's a benefit here.
Well, that is correct.
I just want to ask
No, no, Mike, the microphone.
Right?
Come on, come on.
Thank you.
I don't want to have to hit you.
Please.
Sorry.
One question.
Don't record that.
Too late.
With the generator, when is the generator going to be in use?
When?
When?
In an emergency.
So you don't know when it's going to be used, correct?
The question is, how often do they have to exercise?
Every week.
Every week.
Okay?
Every
You
week.
know how often? Is it once a month or once a week?
I don't know.
Well, I have a generator and it's once a week, but it's only for like an hour. I don't know how long you have the
You program
generator.
to do it almost on any interval you want. There are state regulations because it's a licensed healthcare facility. They're going to dictate how often it needs to be exercised, and that requirement, I don't know.
Hey, is the generator gas or propane? What is, yeah, okay.
That's right.
The bottom line is that's why I asked you guys in the beginning.
Yeah.
You wanted some condition limiting the days and the times of the exercise.
Right.
Because there was no residences around it, you said,
No.
no. That's why I asked the question, because they have to be exercised.
Yeah.
Right. Mine is exercise.
I actually, I mean, I know it's 9 feet. I actually like this component because, and I know there's not residences around, but the fact that it's going to be less noisy than a resident one, I like that. So
Yeah.
I mean, I understand about the 9 feet issue, but I actually think it's actually a benefit to even the businesses around. I mean, they can get loud. Those
Yeah.
generators can get loud.
All right, any other questions?
No.
So you can either deliberate or just say, someone make a motion to grant the C2 variances and amended preliminary and final site plan with the conditions that we discussed for the C2 variance reasons that I suggested already on the map. Someone can say so moved.
Let's do it, okay? So
Okay, so moved.
I'll second it.
can I get a vote?
Vice Chair, Ms. Cynthia Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Randy Block,
Yes.
Mr. Steve Farcio,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem, Mr. Russell Adamji,
Yes.
Ms. Lindsay Cool Brengel. Yes.
Okay,
Thank you for your help. Thank you for your suggestions. I think this is going to be a great addition and look forward to finishing everything up.
great, thank you. Good night. All right, is there any other business before the board? Seeing none, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? All right, good night.
Good night, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Thanks.